Good evening, motorsport fans. Welcome to the very picturesque Lime Rock Park and the famous Samposi Straight. We're here for round 2 of the MC Motorsport Toyota 86 Cup, brought to you tonight by Simple Racing Broadcasts. I'm Jared Cole. I will be your guide this evening through all of the action on track as we get ready to see some really intense racing from these very evenly matched Toyota 86s in the MC Motorsport Toyota 86 Cup. We had an electrifying round 1 and the drivers are hungry for more and they're ready to battle it out once again on this iconic 1.5 mile road course. With fast straights, tricky corners, undulating terrain, Lime Rock Park is a true test of skill, precision and bravery. And it's a track where every millimetre counts and one mistake can change absolutely everything. Today we've got a grid full of talented drivers who are pushing the limits of these lightweight rear-wheel drive machines to their absolute maximum. These Toyota 86 is known for their balanced handling and superb agility, and it makes them the perfect car for close racing and plenty of overtaking, and trust me, there will be plenty of that tonight here at Lime Rock Park. As the drivers get ready to line up on the grid, their engines roar, the tension builds, anything can happen tonight with wheel-to-wheel action. Are we going to see the winner from round 1 manage to hold off that competition, or are we going to see a new challenger rise to the top in the race for the championship? Only time will tell. Here we are, the MC Motorsport Toyota 86 Cup, right at Lime Rock Park. Let's get it underway. And we find ourselves this evening in Lakeville, USA, surrounded by just beautiful scenery. I love this track for its surrounds. 7 turns tonight, but all of them have potential to really mess with somebody's race. When you think about the sort of momentum that a driver needs to carry in these Toyota 86s, it doesn't take much of a mistake to lose a lot of time on the lap here, particularly as you come back down that famous Samposi Straight along the front. Our conditions, as always, absolutely perfect. We've got 20 degrees air temp, we've got 33 degrees track temp. These tyres are going to be loving it, the drivers are going to be loving it. Perfect blue skies, yet again, dry conditions. How could you ask for anything more out of the evening? While we're waiting for the drivers to sort out their qualifying, they've got about 6 minutes left to set their fastest lap and set up the grid for us. Let's have a little chat about the round that was, round 1. Absolutely, just some of the best racing I think I've seen in the MC Motorsport series so far. I know we love our GT3s and our Super Formula Lights, but because these cars are so evenly matched, we get some amazing tight racing, and it was hard to know where to look last week. In the end, we found that Mitchell Curry and Alex Court were just absolutely the pace setters all night. Even with the reverse grid in race 2, they still came back to the front and still finished 1-2. And so we find ourselves with a top 10 that looks a little bit like this. So Mitchell Curry and Alex Court tied for position 1 on 199 points after round 1. Followed closely by Oliver Robson and Pat Trappett on 182 and 176 respectively. Then Ian Ward making a showing in 5th place, Lee Keldulis in 6th, Jamie Nankervis holding 7th, Brian East looks slightly slow racing, not really living up to their name there. He's sitting in 8th after a fantastic round 1, and Scott Lefebvre tied with him as well, both of those guys on 158 points, and Paul Saunders rounding out the top 10 with 154. So, you know, it's one round in, but it's only a 6-round series, so anything can happen here, and that can all change in an instant. As we take a little bit of a look further back, we did have a fairly small field last time, so we've only got 14 drivers featuring. We've got Nathan Bowman in 11th, so not far back either. Ronald Long in 12th, Josh Harris and Ryan Palmer, the ADHD boys, rounding out 13th and 14th. To be fair, they had an absolute shocker of a round 1, and I think they'll be looking for that to be their drop round, and who wouldn't want to forget those Sesame Street liveries. I am promised though something very special in store for us this evening, so look forward to that, hoping to see it out on track very soon. Let's just take a second then to think about what we might have tonight, because we've actually got 22 drivers featuring this evening. So there are certainly a number of drivers joining us that haven't actually raced in round 1. So they're at a little bit of a disadvantage. You know, if they had have raced in round 1, they could have added a few extra points. But it means that they're going to really need all of the points from every single round left in the 6-round series to stand a chance of taking out the championship. At the moment, the gap in points between 1st and 14th, their entire field, is covered by just 63 points. And when you consider we've got 200 points on offer for the top places in both races, 100 points per race to be fair, there's a lot of points out there and anything can still happen. But if you've missed a round, you're really counting on having 5 spectacular rounds from here to really challenge. So very important to always get back in amongst it and make sure that you're in the running for points, because really with only 14 drivers last week, heaps of points went absolutely begging. All you had to do was show up and you would have taken home some pretty good points. So let's see how we go. G'day Sainted Lord, how are you? I would love to put the points on screen. Unfortunately, we're having some issues with that side of our championship standings, so I'll have to just tell you to trust me that that's how it all stands this evening. I'm hoping we can get that fixed soon, but it's causing some real issues. One of the things with iRacing setup, it's really good with the drop rounds, but it does make it a little bit difficult to have it all calculate out properly, so that I can give you the latest, most up-to-date info as we go through the evening. Yeah, look, it's not what I had in mind, but hey, we're here. We're still going to enjoy some brilliant racing. Lime Rock Park, really one of my favourite tracks. It's, when you look at it on paper, it looks really simple. The track layout doesn't look like it's particularly difficult, and to be fair, the classic layout that we're running this evening, I think it misses one of my favourite parts of this track, and that is the chicane in the back corner at uphill at turn 5. That chicane brings so many people undone, and it would have been really interesting to see tonight just how these drivers went about trying to maintain some momentum in what is, let's be honest, a horribly underpowered vehicle. The chassis are amazing on these 86s, but they don't have the pace. So if you do find that you lose a lot of speed through that chicane that's on screen right now, actually, then yeah, it's really something that's going to be hard to regather, especially as you go through that long uphill section at the back. So look, we're getting ready. We've got about a minute left of qualifying. I can tell you that the gaps are very tight this evening. All of the times are very, very close. And interestingly enough, we're not seeing the same names at the top of the list as we did last week. So really looking forward to unveiling the grid for us here. I'm hoping that we might, stay tuned race fans, but that we might actually have a bit of a surprise lined up for the GT3 season starting later in October. In terms of qualifying coverage, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. Otherwise, this evening, it's just me hanging out here, and I'll be keeping you company through our 50 odd minutes of on-track racing across the 2 races, 20-minute sprint to start, and then of course the ever exciting reverse grid for the second half hour. Last week we saw Alex Court and Mitch Curry start at the back of the field in race 2 and make their way all the way back to the start. So I'm hopeful that we're going to see a little bit of the same from them again this evening. But they've got it all to prove. There's a lot of points on the line, so let's talk about the grid for this evening. And this is how they've lined up after qualifying. Craig Edwards and Oliver Robson take the front row with great performances. Alex Court and Scott Barton from Everything Simulated Racing. And Fitzroy Beaumont, a new entry this evening, with Ryan Palmer from ADHD featuring up the front in an amazing Hello Kitty livery. We're absolutely going to see plenty of that on track. Going back down the grid, Thomas Donohoe and Rory Collins, Jason Depp from Velocity Racing and Jacob Pelfrey in 10th, with Mitch Curry in 11th and James Bunker in 12th. Another Hello Kitty entry there. Luke Newing and Nathan Bowman in 13th and 14th. Luke Hyde and Jamie Nankovis rounding out 15th and 16th. Ryan Smith and Adrian Gresh 17th and 18th on the grid. Then Brian East and Lam Newen making up the rest of the top 20, with Josh Harris, the ADHD Racing entry, right down the back there. Paul Saunders in 22nd and Ronald Long in 23rd based on those qualifying times. So as we get ready to start another set of racing results here, really interested to hear from you what you're expecting tonight. I would love to hear what your tips are for this evening, but we've got a little way to go yet. So some exciting racing ahead. This is Lime Rock Park, one of my favourite locations, I think, to go racing. The drivers are coming to the grid now. We're just waiting on the last couple, and we will be ready to go underway. So with no further ado, let's get ready to go racing, shall we? And we're just waiting on our last driver here. Oh, absolutely. Look, I'm expecting some. I don't know if carnage is quite what I'm expecting, but you never really know with these cars. Lime Rock doesn't offer a great deal of passing opportunities, so these guys are going to have to really make every effort to maintain it. We've got all drivers ready to go. We're under starters orders. The lights are on. Here we go. And we are green, green, green. Oh, I'm almost forgetting. It's the Toyota 86s. They're going as fast as they can, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that start, though. Nice and clean. Everyone's away as we race on down the Sam Posey straight towards turn one. And let's see what we've got here in store for us. We've got a couple of cars there with a few connection issues, it looks like. We'll have to keep an eye on that throughout the night because that's always dangerous. So far, so good, though. Everyone clean through the first few corners and starting to spread out nicely. It hasn't taken them long at all to find their way into a formation. As we see an absolute flurry of colours. As always, the drivers bringing out their very best liveries. We're going too wide through that back corner. That is brave there. Not a lot of traction on cold tyres. But so far, so good. We're holding it together. We're holding it together. We come back down. It's a short lap. And everyone's still very much in touch. The entire field separated by less than 8 seconds right now. And here we go. Settle in, race fans. We've got just a little over 18 minutes left in this one. And so far, I don't want to put the usual commentator curse on it, but so far, all very clean as we see some moves here on the ADHD racing vehicle. And sure enough, everything simulated entries coming up on that Hello Kitty car. Ryan Palmer had a great start. But he's under threat. So we'll keep our eyes on this one. If we look up the field, Craig Edwards out in front very comfortably. Just holding that position, but not getting the same sort of distance as we saw from Court and Curry in last week's race. So everything a little bit closer this week, perhaps. As we come down the Sam Posey straight, going very wide off the back there. You've really got to try and carry the speed through that corner one, but I'll tell you what, it ends up with a lot of sliding, and if you're not careful, you put those wheels off there. That's the SLS entry. That is the 843 of Rory Collins, who's gone pretty wide just off the back there. But so far, all very tidy, which is always great to see. Let's take a quick look up front and keep our eyes on this pack. As Craig Edwards leads them out, Robson's still right on his tail, and Alex Court's sitting with him as well. And then a small gap starting to open up there back to Scott Bartine. But still, everyone very close together. About the only significant gap, Ryan Palmer. A bit of a gap ahead, bit of a gap behind. But here they come again down the Sam Posey straight. Oh, look, Nick, we'll never turn down another voice. It's always good to have another voice here, even if it just lets me get a drink. I can tell you've been missing commentating, mate. I hope everything's doing all right. It looks like we may have had an issue. Let's go back and take a quick look. It looks like potentially Luke Hyde and Brian East. Let's see what's happened here. It looks like it may even have been separate incidents, no? Oh, big slide from Luke Hyden there. He's lost it completely. And then Brian East separately. I thought they might have potentially come together, but it looks like Brian East just overcooked. It might have had a little touch there, but he's just you almost held that too. That would have been so impressive. That would have been so impressive. But what do you do? What do you do? Luke Hyden back in the hunt. But still a long way back, so he'll be hoping for a safety car to help him catch up with the field. As we take a look forward again at Edwards, Robson and Court, opening up that gap, now out to 3.5 seconds back to Scott Bartine. Sorry, 3 seconds back to Scott Bartine. So these three setting the pace. Alex Court in there again. Now Craig Edwards and Oliver Robson had a pretty good start to round one as well. Unfortunately, just overcooked it a bit and found themselves out of the running as a result. I'm sure they're anxious to not repeat that mistake this evening. So let's see how they go. It's the purple trio, the Cadbury Dairy Milk car out in front. I'll tell you what, Dairy Milk, not as good as it used to be, honestly. It's gone downhill. It's all that palm oil, I'm sure. As we watch the rest of the field charge through turn one. Beautiful looking Castrol entry there. Nathan Bowman rocking the Toyota colours. But all in all, looking pretty clean still as we see some definite packs starting to open up. Let's keep our eyes here on Scott Bartine. Despite not being able to keep up with that front three, he's still holding back 4 cars behind him. He's got Beaumont, Palmer, Donahoe and Collins all sitting behind him, but they just cannot catch him. It's a really interesting turn of events here. Like, I'm not quite sure just how Edwards, Robson and Court are getting so much extra pace at their 86s. And it does make me wonder if perhaps this is why they cooked those tyres last time around. As we see him coming on in. And this gap just getting wider and wider at the moment. As you see everyone trying in vain to hold those top three from getting away further. Oh, we've had a big slide, big contact there. That's Mitch Curry and Jason Depp coming together. Oh, that's rough. Let's go back there and have a quick look at what's happened. I'm not quite sure how they managed to come together there, but look at Mitch Curry. He's been pushing that back bumper of Jason Depp. Has there been contact? Curry up the inside of him there. And yeah, a bit of contact from Curry there. Oh, he's slid Depp, and that's, he's been lucky to get away without more damage. Curry's going to do the right thing, slow it down and give it on back. You'd expect nothing less from the MC Motorsport owner. But that's going to cost him. Really unfortunate. But not a whole lot you could do there. As we see Scott Bartine now with a bit more of a gap. Only one managing to stick with him as Donahoe drops further back as well. But nobody can catch these three out in front. Edwards, Robson and Court still maintaining that order. And will you have a look? Luke Ewing and Jacob Palfrey swapping spots there. Looking pretty tidy, even if it is the standard iRacing livery. That SLS car goes a bit wide again and ends up out on the grass. He's going to have to slow it right down if he wants to keep it together for the rest of this race. Some great shots from around this beautiful track. You don't find much like this. Is that Josh Harris having a bit of a go there? Let's just take that back a moment and see if we can see what's just happened. We're having all sorts of issues with the broadcast tonight. I'm sorry, folks. But Scott Bartine opening up the gap. Ryan Palmer now leading that battle pack. Beaumont, Collins and Ewing just hanging on to the back of his car. If we take a look a bit further back in the field, now this is Ryan Smith, who's been sliding all over the place this evening. Close behind him, Nankervis and Ewan have just been waiting for their opportunity. Side by side just behind. That's... Who's that? Gresh and Josh Harris. Harris makes the move. The Hello Kitty sticker's giving him an extra 30 kilowatts, I reckon. We'll have to check if that's legal. But down on the straight. Oh, Harris hits the curb in a big way. That's going to cost him some pace. Can Gresh capitalise here? He's going to have the aerodynamic run, as well as the extra pace from not hitting that curb. Is he going to get him under brakes? Doesn't quite have enough. Big dive under brakes, though. That front end dipping massively. This suspension, it's well set up, but it's not exactly race suspension. A lot of movement in these cars. As we take a look back, it looks like Thomas Donohoe's had some issues. Let's see what's happened here. Oh, that's a huge crash. Let's go back and see if we can catch what's actually caused that. Oh, there's a big slide in. Oh, he's gone to avoid, and that's just flicked him back onto the road. And, oh, nothing he could do. Just parked up on the top of the hill. He wouldn't have been able to see him there at all. That's Jacob Palfrey, who's gone straight into Thomas Donohoe. That's disappointing. Oh, huge collision. That's going to cause some damage for sure. So not at all what Thomas Donohoe would have wanted. Thankfully, getting away with the fast repair, but they find themselves right down the back now. As we jump back on board with the train led by Beaumont, Palmer now sitting in behind. As Collins makes out 3, and this is the battle for 5th. Scott Bartine putting some distance between them. And Edwards now starting to find his groove again. Well out in front again. Court can't keep with him. They're now dropping to a bit over a second back. Robson dropping to almost another second back from Court. The front 3 starting to spread out. So we stick with this battle then. Take a look back here. Lam Nguyen and Ryan Smith going at it. Tell you what, Ryan, if you could just paint that car the same on both sides, I wouldn't be so confused about whose car I'm looking at. It's a lovely livery, though, to be fair. And Lam Nguyen races a similar colour, actually, in the Super Formula Light series on a Monday evening. Had a gorgeous-looking Jaguar livery, if I'm not mistaken. It does seem to favour the British Racing Green, and it's paying off for him tonight as he leads out Ryan Smith and Jamie Nankervis. This is the battle for 11th. Oh, very wide on that exit. Ryan Smith trying to get some extra speed for the run down the straight. Here we go. Let's see what Jamie Nankervis has got up his sleeve, though. Big move up to the inside there. But not enough to get through. Just can't quite hold that pace. So the 3 of them retaining the order. I've got to wonder if Lam Nguyen... There's Nankervis just having a poke up the inside again. So Nankervis very, very keen to get moving, feeling like he's being held up here. He's going to be careful not to push it a little hard and end up sliding off. So we see that Hello Kitty menacing in the background. Josh Harris still battling it out with Adrian Gresh back there for 14th. And Lam Nguyen, good pace as he comes through uphill. And that's enough to just keep him ahead. These guys bouncing off the curbs as they try to get the extra speed they'll need here. But Nankervis just calmly settled in behind Ryan Smith. Smith's gone very wide there. He's going to have bled off a little speed. This could be the opportunity Nankervis has been hoping for. Again, he's going very, very wide to the inside. Has a look, can't pull it together. He's completely missed his line though on that corner. That's going to cost him. Who's that that's just come off there? That's Luke Hayden again. Unfortunate, but the back marker stays well out of the way and lets these guys keep on going through. So that's well done. Good awareness from Hayden. Finds himself 2 laps down, and it's a hard one to come back from. He's going to be desperately praying for some kind of safety car, but I don't think we're going to see it tonight. Very, very clean racing all around in this first sprint race of round 2, the MC Motorsport Toyota 86 Cup here at Lime Rock Park. we'll jump ahead while these guys are having a look down the straight. We've got Rory Collins here trying to hold off Newing, but also chasing down Ryan Palmer. That bright pink rear end of the Toyota 86 in front. Very hard to miss. Collins up on the curb, looking for just a little more and a little more pace. It's giving him a really good run there into turn 2. We see Palmer just sliding it around a little. But sitting nice and neatly. We'll take a look a bit further back. Still, Nankervis can't find a way past Smith. He's certainly got the pace. We've seen it a couple of times. But he just hasn't found the right move. Lime Rock Park, not a forgiving one. Not a lot of options for overtakes, and particularly in an 86. You're not getting extra pace out of the turns. It's what you carry through the corner that counts here. And unfortunately, with that in mind, you're really relying on the driver in front to make a mistake. So far, Lam Nguyen, rock solid. Oh, although that is going to hurt his speed down the straight. Big bounce off that inside curb. This is the opportunity. Ryan Smith, he's got a good run. Goes defensive. Nguyen's gone defensive. Smith took a big look. Nankervis couldn't make anything of it with them already on the inside. Nguyen very lucky to get away with that mistake coming onto the main straight, but still hangs on to his position. The great thing about these 86s, we're watching a battle for 11th here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a long way back in the field, but the racing just as solid. As we jump forward to the battle for 6th, Ryan Palmer off in front. His teammate James Bunker at the rear of this 4 and sandwiched in the middle of the Hello Kitties, Newing and Bunker. Sorry, Collins and Newing. My goodness, you can tell it's Thursday night, can't you? It's a Hello Kitty sandwich, and look, I can think of worse sandwiches to end up in, but that is a livery. That's definitely a livery. As we see Newing looking up the inside, Collins has stayed very wide. He's left himself really open there. As he tries to go a bit of over-under action. Meanwhile, Bunker's taken the opportunity to just close that gap up a little further behind them. But Palmer still comfortably controlled. Oh, look out. Here comes Newing. He's made the move. They're side by side down the back straight as we come towards that final corner onto the uphill. He's made it stick. He's carried a lot of pace down the back straight. Got a great exit out of the corner. Can he hold it together? Or is Palmer going to pull him back down the straight as Collins tacks on? But by the look of things, Newing holds the pace. Palmer's going very, very deep. He's going to have a poke under brake. Can't quite pull it together. Very lucky not to run straight up the back of Newing there. He's controlled it well. Now as we take a quick look back, Lam Nguyen starting to pull further and further away. Ryan Smith now really holding Nankervis up. So these two battling it out. Nankervis just wants to get past. He's sitting at 10th off the back bumper. Here it is. He makes the move up the inside. Does he have the pace to take him uphill? On the inside of the corner. Can't quite hold it. Has to brake too hard to make that turn. And finds himself stuck again behind Ryan Smith. This will be getting frustrating. He's riding those inside curbs. Got to be really careful not to cost yourself too much speed there. Let's see a huge bounce from Smith. Puts him right out onto the grass. Nankervis trying to make something of this. Smith knows he's made the mistake. Goes incredibly defensive. Nankervis is going to hold inside. Dives to the outside. Has he got the pace to go around the outside in this corner? Now, this is dangerous. Anything can happen. It's a narrow part of the track. Nankervis is going to have to give him the space, and that's just given up all the advantage. Meanwhile, Adrian Gresh has made the most of it and has started to make the moves to get in amongst it. Lam Nguyen, meanwhile, now out to 2.5 seconds ahead of this now trio fighting it out for 12th. Lam Nguyen feeling pretty comfortable in 11th as it stands right now. But we look to the leader with 57 seconds left. So probably the last lap coming up after this. So the penultimate lap here from the Dairy Milk entry of Craig Edwards, all on his own, has opened up a 3.5 second gap, which in an 86 around Lime Rock Park is a pretty impressive feat. Let's be honest. Court and Robson have just had no answer, and you can see them just left trailing in his dust. And Court now leaving Robson behind. Scott Bartine, meanwhile, much further back as well. So really, this front four spread out completely. Craig Edwards feeling very comfortable. He'll want to just take it easy here to make sure that he can complete this last lap. As we go on board with him, for what I'm sure will be the white flag. There it is. There's the white flag being waved as he comes past the starter's podium. And we're into the final lap, down into Sam Posey's finishing corner. And some great views of this Cadbury livery as we take a final lap around with Craig Edwards. He's hoping he can actually hold it together. And here he comes, Craig Edwards. A brilliant drive from start to finish. A fantastic 20-minute sprint. And there it is, Craig Edwards takes the win. With Alex Court in behind. And Oliver Robson not far back. As we see Scott Bartine coming on through to take fourth. And here we go, the battle still raging on. 3 wide into the last turn, and there's contact. Hasn't slowed him down though. Nankervis out in front, Ryan Smith and Adrian Gresh side by side to the line. Who's going to take this? I think Smith might have just got there. We'll have to wait for the final result. But I think he might have just got there by tacking onto the back of Nankervis and using that last bit of slipstream. What a fantastic finish to race one, ladies and gents. As Craig Edwards brings it back into the pit. So let's take a look at those results. As we look at Heat 1, the standings are as follows. Craig Edwards taking the win, almost 4.5 seconds in a brilliant drive over Alex Court. Robson taking out position 3. Scott Bartine, the first of the team entries for Everything Simulated Racing, in 4th. Then Beaumont and Ewing. Bunker and Palmer finishing back-to-back 7th and 8th, so great finish from them. Nathan Bowman and Rory Collins rounding out the top 10 in race 1. Lam Newen holds on to 11th comfortably. Nankervis closes out 12th position, and Gresh just holding out, so couldn't quite get there. Josh Harris in 14th, the ADHD entry. Mitch Curry from MC Motorsport back in 15th. Then Brian East in 16th. Paul Saunders in 17th. Ryan Smith taking 18th. Ronald Long in 19th. And Jason Depp from Velocity Racing finishing a lap down in 20th. As we see in the background some celebratory burnout attempts. I hope he's not going to ruin the clutch in that thing. And then the final standings. Jacob Palfrey in 21st, a lap down. Thomas Donahoe 2 laps down in 22nd. And Luke Hayden had an absolute shocker, finishing 10 laps down for race 1. Not what he'd be hoping for out of that first race, but there's still another to come, and the good news is complete reverse grid. And so we'll see him up the front row for the next race. We're going to take a quick break here and leave you with some shots of Lime Rock Park. I'll put some music on for you. Grab yourselves a drink while you're waiting. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes to kick off race 2, our 30-minute feature race with the reverse grid. Stay tuned. This is MC Motorsport, presented to you by Simple Racing Broadcasts. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready for race 2 here tonight at Lime Rock Park, we can see the weather hasn't changed at all despite the change in time. We're still sitting at a beautiful 33 degrees of track temp here. The air temp's perfect for these drivers as we get ready to show you a very quick view of the grid. I know we get into this race pretty quickly, so we'll be showing the starting grid in no time, I am sure. But remembering, this is a reverse grid from our first race, so the finishing order of the first race completely reversed. So we'll see Luke Hayden up the front of this one after his unfortunately pretty depressing first round. But all's well that ends well. He'll get a good crack at it here as we take a look at the starting grid for race 2. And this is how it looks. Luke Hayden heads it off with Thomas Donahoe ready to go. Palfrey and Depp 3rd and 4th, and Ronald Long and Ryan Smith rounding out the first 3 rows. Saunders and East then 7th and 8th. Mitch Curry in 9th for the MC Motorsport entry. Harris, Gresh and Nankervis round out the 12. Newen and Collins, Bowman and Palmer, Bunker and Newing through to 18. Beaumont and Bartine round out the 20 with Robson, Court and Edwards finishing out our grid of 23. So a very different looking grid from the first time around, but we are back into it. Drivers are getting ready to go with just a matter of seconds until we see the starters lights coming up. And here we go. The revs rise. Lights on. And we're green, green, green. Away we go for 30 minutes of racing. A huge stall from Luke Hayden. That's going to hurt him. He immediately drops 4 or 5 positions back. He's thrown away that advantage, finds himself all the way back in 8th before corner 1. Oh, a big hit of the curb there from one of the ADHD entries, that Hello Kitty livery. As we see all these faster drivers now at the back of the grid, they're going to be pushing really hard to get back out in front. And this is what can cause some huge issues. We're going too wide through all of these turns. A lot of contact. Oh, there we go. Oh, a huge spin. That's Bowman. Oh, massive crash. Bunker, Beaumont, and Bowman all the way back. We are under safety car. A huge coming together as we see another slide. Thankfully, all keeping it together on track. As we see them slow it all down. What a first lap. Let's go back and take a look at that again. So we've just ended up contact there. Pushes Bowman into the wall and he bounces back in. Nothing that Beaumont or Bunker could really do, I don't think. We'll just see if we can get a better view of it here. There it is, bouncing. Oh, snaps back around. That's Beaumont into the wall. Bunker just left spinning in the background. Absolutely brutal. And they'll be very glad to see this under safety car because he's going to... Look at that front right wheel, not even turning at the moment. That car is in all sorts of trouble. And that's Beaumont limping it back to the pits. We take a look forward and we see the safety car leading the round. So as it stands, Donahoe holds the lead. Palfrey, Smith and Depp in behind him. Mitch Curry's up from his starting position. Ronald Long and Nankervis still in there. But if we take a look back through the movers in the back of the field, yeah, I don't know that we're going to count the fastest lap under safety car, but that's how it happens when you have a big incident like that so early on. It's going to take a bit of time. Beaumont just making his way back around to get that car back to the pits. Bowman and Bunker find themselves sitting awaiting repairs. Those cars looking very sad and sorry for themselves at the moment, and Beaumont's managed to get himself sorted and back out, so he's driven around. Bowman and Bunker still getting towed in, which means it'll take a bit longer for them to be ready to go. But this is an opportunity for Beaumont to tack back on, stay on the lead lap, and that means he might just have a shot at picking up a few more points. So we see this group all settle on in. Well, we got through race 1 without a safety car. Race 2, not so lucky, a huge incident on lap 1. Only made it halfway through, and it's taken out 3 of our drivers from further back in the field. Bunker, Beaumont and Bowman all had a really good first race, but now find themselves relegated to the back. Bowman and Bunker will now be 2 laps down, possibly more by the time they get back out and going. So that's gonna hurt them. And I suspect we'll probably see this as the last lap before we go green again. There we go, race control confirming 1 lap to green, so the driver's getting ready to get us back underway. Donohoe will have control of the field once we get back around. Thankfully a pretty short lap for us to get back to the start line again. So the drivers here won't mind too much as we see Bunker just rolling it out of the pits gently to tack onto the back of this train. And certainly not the start to the race that these guys would have been expecting. What it does mean, though, for those drivers who started up front and perhaps don't have the pace of some of the faster drivers, this is all just eating time for them and giving them more of an opportunity to stay up front and actually be able to hang on to the hope that this lead will carry them through. But when we take a look back through the field, we've got Robson, Court, Edwards, Bartine, all sitting back at the end of the 20, barely even gotten going. So we still have what, 24 minutes to run in this race before we find ourselves actually able to. Oh, we've got all sorts of problems going on here. Sorry, folks. There we are. So here we go. Down the main straight. Donohoe will have control. And away they go again. A couple of cars going very, very wide through turn 1, but what else do you do with a pack like this? Oh, and who's that off? That's Nankervis off in the background. Jason Depp as well. Paul Saunders, Craig Edwards having an incident back there as well. Mitch Curry diving off the inside of the track. Let's go back and take a look and see if we can figure out just what's happened. It's always the danger of a restart. Further back in the field. So this is Saunders in the green and purple worm pates entry. What's happened here? Contact in front, and oh, he's just been left with nowhere to go. So Craig Edwards has been turned around. Let's just see if we can find out who that would have been. Is it just a bit of contact there from... Yep, just some contact. That looks like Jason Depp's just spun him around, I think. So disappointing for Craig Edwards, who had such a good run. Now Saunders finds himself down the back. So Craig Edwards, all the work to do now to just catch back up, never mind having a shot at getting back in front. That's Court and Bartine bumping doors, rubbing panels as they go side by side into uphill. Or just a little tap of the brakes there, and that's going to be enough for Bartine to squeeze through. Thomas Donohoe setting a new fastest lap as well. holding on to that lead nicely. Oh, big contact, big contact. Just managing to hold it together. Oh, that's Beaumont just getting squeezed out. Not a lot he could do there. As Mitch Curry. Mitch Curry's had an issue further back as well. Has he done this to himself? Oh, that's unfortunate. He almost held that, but into the wall goes Curry, and that 86 is heavily damaged now, so he's going to have to limp that back. As we keep an eye here on Beaumont and Nankervis side by side into turn 1. And that's Nathan Bowman in the 53 entry, who's 2 laps down after that first incident, but pushing hard. Still though, Nankervis, Beaumont side by side. Oh, rubbing panels again as they try and jostle for a position coming into the uphill run. Nankervis has got a good line, but Beaumont holds the inside. Oh, we're not going 3 wide, are we, gents? Oh, contact again. That's Jason Depp making contact there with Fitzroy Beaumont. Lucky not to spin him. Meanwhile, Bowman's caught up in the middle of all of this and just trying to make the most of catching back up again. What a mess. Going very, very deep. And a very defensive line there from Fitzroy Beaumont. Craig Edwards right in behind him. And the 3 competitors here for position 12. Meanwhile, Nathan Bowman just tucking in and causing all sorts of problems because it's another car they've got to watch for. But Nankervis starting to settle it down and starting to pull away from Beaumont. So he'll be looking to make a move now. Meanwhile, just ahead of them, Lam Nguyen up in 7th has Bartine, Robson and Court bearing down on him. These 3 all very fast in race 1, great finishes. They'll be looking to back it up and get extra points again here in race 2. Take a look back, it looks like Rory Collins has had an issue further back in the field. There's contact there. 3 wide into the last turn onto the straight. And sure enough, he gets just turned around. Lucky not to have been hit by anyone else. So gets it rolling again. Minimal impact. But he'll be upset with that one. We keep an eye on Lam Nguyen here. So Scott Bartine behind him. Oliver Robson making the move on Bartine though. They're going to go side by side into uphill. This seems to be a favourite passing spot and there's not many other opportunities. Oh, everyone's dancing around there. Court's got just all over the back there of Robson. So just letting him know that he's there and that he's planning on coming through. So here we go down the main straight. Bit of a wave of the wipers as we see Alex Court move to the inside. Robson's going to have to defend that. Thankfully has the better line. Brian East, not so slow in the 86s. He's hanging on there just fine. So managing to keep with these guys who had all the pace. And we take a look forward. The Hello Kitty cars side by side with the third ADHD entry right behind them. So this is Palmer and Harris battling it out for 5th and 6th. Should point out that other Hello Kitty entry behind them, that's James Bunker. He's in 21st. He's 2 laps down after that first lap incident. So look, it's a great shot on camera, but it's not going to help them in terms of points for the team. So we see Brian East going very, very wide off the final turn. Now, Palmer and Harris are going to get too caught up battling each other here to actually catch Newing. That's the question. Craig Edwards putting in another fast lap. And these Hello Kitty entries, an assault to the eyes. Oh, they're doing great tonight. So we'll let them have it. We'll let them have it. Luke Newing now checking the mirrors. Again, just a sea of pink front bars. Is all that he's going to be able to see behind him, unless we see these two come together. And you know, it wouldn't be the first time, I'm sure. So let's look just slightly back. This is Scott Bartine still hanging on to the end of Lam Newen. We come down the front straight now. Is he going to make a move here into turn one? He's got the pace. He's got the position. There it is. The big dive. Does he have it under brakes? No, wisely just pulls it back in. Didn't quite have enough. As we see Beaumont and Edwards going side by side. Edwards has been setting fast lap after fast lap after fast lap. And Beaumont desperately trying to hold on to his position. But Edwards really wanting to get moving and start his progression up through the field. They stay side by side. A little bit of contact there. They're going to end up still side by side as we reach uphill. Oh, that was so close. Beaumont just slotting in and behind. But that'll be Craig Edwards through and continuing the march. Meanwhile, Bartine still all over the back of Lam Newen, and behind Alex Court threatening Oliver Robson. So here they come. There's Bartine making the dive to the inside. That's Robson looking up the inside. Doesn't have the pace though. So he's dropped right away. I think he might have some issues actually. Why is he pulled right back? What's happened to Robson? He's been given a slowdown there. He's been given a slowdown. That's cost him 4 positions. So he's going to have to get back up to pace here alongside Brian East. But that's hurt him. He was battling it out with Alex Court. And now finds himself all the way down the back of this train. He's got a lot of work to do to catch up after that. Watching these cars pop up over uphill, it's a scary sight. As we look to the front, Donohoe and Palfrey having a great go of it. Into turn one we go. And Palfrey just hanging on, pressuring Donohoe. No need to make a move just yet. We're barely over halfway through this race. So a likely pit stop here. Somewhere in the next 10 minutes, I reckon. It is possible that they might manage to get through the whole race comfortably. But it will depend very much on what sort of setup they're running as we see them coming off uphill again. And Donohoe just opening up that gap a little further. Palfrey losing a bit of pace there. Just couldn't hold his line. And here we go down Sam Posey Straight. It's a beautiful view and easy to get distracted when you're driving. Thomas Donohoe going very defensive, so Palfrey's obviously got a bit of pace there. Move back to the outside, interesting choice, okay. Palfrey though, catches it back up. He definitely holds more pace through that braking zone. So Donohoe will have to be careful the stewards don't ping him for that. That move across to the defensive and then back across just before the braking zone could spell some issues. As here we go, Josh Harris making the move on Newen. Who's that off? That's Craig Edwards. Craig Edwards has come off there. You take a look back. What's happened? Harris has made the move. Craig Edwards just gotten on the grass, and that's been enough to lose traction on that rear right wheel, and that's spun him. So all that work he's done now finds himself well back behind Brian East once again. Disappointing for Craig Edwards. Just cannot catch a break here after such a great showing in race one. So we see Collins Nankervis coming together. That's Collins spun around Nankervis. Big hit. And Collins finds himself sitting sideways. Lucky not to get taken out by a car following. So let's just see if we can go back and have a look at what's just happened there. We didn't quite catch the lead up to that. We just happened to switch across. So Collins had all the pace up the inside of Nankervis. But, oh, that big, yeah, okay. Racing incident there, big bounce off the curb. That's put him into the side of Nankervis, and lucky not to do damage to Nankervis' hopes. Hasn't slowed him down at all, which is good to see. but very possibly damage to the right-hand side. Sorry, left-hand side. No, yes, right-hand side. My God, lefts, rights. Thursday night, can't keep up. Mankiewicz, though, not seeming to have too many issues with maintaining the pace there, as Harris just further ahead is dragging a train behind him into that Hello Kitty car, trying to catch back up to his teammates just up in front. So we bring it on down into turn one. Lam Nguyen trying desperately to hold off Robson, who wants to get past. We see Alex Court just ahead, making the move on Ryan Palmer. So Court all the pace yet again. Nothing Palmer can do. And now Nguyen. Oh, he's made contact. He's pushed wide. And that's put Court out onto the grass. Court's recovered. That's cost some time. All over the track coming out of uphill, using every inch that they can, trying to stay clear of the grass. Great shot, looking down to the final corner. And here we go, back on a Sam Posey straight. So we take a look, Oliver Robson looking up the inside of Lam Nguyen. Is he going to have the line? He does. Nguyen's not going to have the pace. Craig Edwards there in the background, just trying to tack back on. Lam Nguyen left out wide is going to lose another position if he's not careful. Beaumont trying desperately. He's going to have the inside run here, though, if he can just hold alongside. Brian East, meanwhile, staying clear. Nope. Beaumont's bounced too far, and that gives Brian East a chance to just have some pace on him as they come into uphill. And around we go again with just under 10 minutes to go in this 30-minute race. Race 2 of our first season of the Toyota 86 Cup here with MC Motorsport. And it's been a cracker as Brian East runs wide and can't get the traction. Oh, just missing the fence. That gives Craig Edwards the opportunity to get past. As we see Oliver Robson make the move there on Josh Harris. Door to door. And Harris can do nothing but give way to the faster driver. But he'll be looking for an opportunity to pull that back again. As we go on board with Robson down the back straight and into uphill. Just getting a tiny bit of air there over the back. And just ahead, Alex Court tries to make the move, finds himself out on the grass. That's going to cost him a lot of straight line speed. And here comes Robson up the inside. Court hasn't moved over fast enough. Everything happening behind them. So Robson's got the shot up the inside. Can he take Court? Court, though, all of the pace in these 86s. He was incredibly fast in round 1. Absolutely no contest from anyone else in round 1, with the exception of Mitch Curry, who unfortunately just hasn't been a showing tonight. Can't find his pace around Lime Rock Park. And this middle battle pack just going at it, led out at the moment by Alex Court. But there's not a whole lot in it. You can see that Court's really pushing the limits of his tyres, finding himself out on the grass a couple of times. As they head down the straight once again. Now, do we see any passing moves here from anyone in this pack? A little bit of a peek up the inside from Robson, just reminding Court that he's still there and still watching. Oh, that's Ryan Palmer having an issue. No, sorry, that is James Bunker, who was just in the way, pretty wisely just pulled off to the side because he was going to hold up a whole train of cars here as he misstepped out of that first corner. So everyone in the cars in this little train will be very, very happy that he's moved over at an appropriate time, because that could have been very, very messy. Craig Edwards, meanwhile, Puts the move up the inside of Josh Harris. Can he hold it without making contact? Only just. Now, can Josh Harris respond down straight? Oh, big hit there. That's Brian East into the back of Harris. Lucky not to do more damage. But that's cost Harris any hope of catching back up to Edwards. So that gap widening right out. Meanwhile, Brian East, after that contact, that's given Beaumont the opportunity to come on through and take 11th. So the field shuffled once again as we come into the final 6 minutes of race 2. Meanwhile, out in front, Thomas Donohoe has put his foot down and opened it right up. Palfrey finds himself a second and a half back. And really, it's all on Donohoe to hold it together here. But he could just find himself with a really nice race win off row 1. The fast movers, though, we take a look back into 4th place. This is Scott Bartine, who's moved himself all the way up through the field. Ryan Smith just ahead of him. Now, Bartine, last lap, 56.6, his best of 56.5, so really consistently putting in some very fast laps. Donohoe, though, matching him. A 56.4 is his best, last lap 56.6. We take a look back, and here's Alex Court leading this train out. Bartine, though, he's got the pace. Is he going to make the move around the outside? This has been a favourite of his. He's passed a few times around the outside into uphill. Doesn't quite find his line there. So he's just going to have to sit back and wait another lap to have another crack here at Ryan Smith. Smith bounces off that curb. It's a huge curb on the inside of that corner. Brings many drivers unstuck. And down the straight they go. Smith adopting a defensive inside line, ready for turn 1. Bartine following, so Smith moving it back across to the outside. Bartine's closing it down, though. You take a look just behind them. Robson on the back of Palmer looking to go past, and he'll be trying to keep up with Court. Palmer's going to have to defend aggressively here. And Robson, clearly with the pace, just cannot get unglued from the back of Palmer's bumper. Sitting just a 10th off. So we see the view from Robson's front grille, using every inch of that track again out of uphill. And he's got some pace here. Now, can he make the most of it, or is he going to have to back it off to keep it in behind Palmer? Here they go. Well, up ahead, Alex Court has just gone right up the middle of Smith and Bartine. So that's Court in front of Bartine now. Smith squeezing. Oh, and they've turned. That's Smith. Smith's been turned. Robson's hit him. Now, is he going to redress, or is that going to be one for the stewards for later? I don't know who's at fault there, but that was a big one. Very, very lucky for Smith to not end up in the wall. And now we see Court and Robson in behind Ryan Palmer, who's managed to survive all that unscathed somehow. Not quite sure how he's done that. Scott Bartine gets some breathing room, though. As here they come again. So, this battle for 4th, Palmer, Court, Robson, Edwards. We've got some really fast names in there, and then we've got Ryan Palmer, who's doing his very best to hold the 3 of them at bay. So far, so good. I reckon another 3 laps, and he'll find himself at the 4th place finish. But here comes Court up the other side. He'll be in on the outside into uphill. He's got pace. Is it enough? Palmer can hold that inside line, but a little bit of contact there. He's going to have to... Yep, he's just dropped in behind Court, so he's lost that one. And now Robson will be looking. He's seen the weakness from Palmer. And I'll be surprised if we don't see Robson try the same move into uphill on this next lap. The field's spreading out now, going into the pits back there. That's Beaumont. As this group continues to circulate around. Nothing much in it, but Craig Edwards having a big look up either side of Robson. Robson just doing his best to stay steady and not lose the advantage of being in behind Ryan Palmer there, as Court continues to put the hammer down as much as he can in a Toyota 86 and starts just opening up a little bit of room for him to breathe. Craig Edwards getting a little impatient, looking, seeing if there's a way through. Robson, though, not giving him anything. Edwards just throwing that Cadbury 86 all over the track in the hope he can find a way through. Here they come down the main straight again. Scott Bartine, plenty of room. The three here, Palmer, Robson and Edwards, just glued together. No moves coming there. No one's game. Everyone just counting on someone else to make a mistake. Palmer is getting all sorts of pressure from Robson. I don't know how much more of this he can take. Thankfully, he just has to last one more lap. So Donohoe will be coming around. This will be the final lap called, I'm sure. And what a drive from Thomas Donohoe. Making the absolute most of his poor fortune in race one. So we look ahead. That is the final lap confirmed. So Donohoe, all the space in the world. He'll hold this together, no problem, I'm sure. But let's not look away from this battle, because this is where the action is. Robson going up the outside, Palmer going very defensive. He knows he's got it all to lose here. Tap of the brakes, that's just going to unsettle those cars behind him, but it's also going to cost him pace, and you cannot afford to lose that in these Toyota 86s. Can he hold it together? Got to give it to Ryan Palmer, a great drive. He's gone defensive here again to try and hold Robson off. Robson absolutely all over him. I don't want to look away. We'll take a quick look. Here comes Thomas Donohoe across the line. Well done to him. There's Jacob Palfrey. We'll look back though. As Ryan Palmer has managed it. He's held off Robson and Edwards. As long as he can hold it out of this last corner, they'll be desperately diving, looking for an opportunity to come past, but that's it. Ryan Palmer takes a 5th place for ADHD Racing over Robson and Edwards, who were all over him, pushing so hard. A great finish for them there. We take a look a bit further back through the field. We've got Rory Collins coming through. He's had a bit of a rough race. But he'll finish up there in 14th. Mitch Curry as well. Bit of a rough night there in race 2. As we take a look back, James Bunker finds himself in the pits again. Very unfortunate. Just has spent so much time in the pits tonight from that first incident, and then again a little later on. We'll just take a quick look at that. So he's ended up having another crash. By the look of things, into uphill. Just getting too wide on the exit, hits the wall and into the tyres. A night he'd rather forget, as his first night racing with ADHD. Not at all what he would have wanted for the evening, I am sure. But we take a look forward. That's Mitch Curry coming around on the cool down lap. Jacob Palfrey can't be upset with the 2nd place there. And let's take a look at the results from race 2 in this MC Motorsport Toyota 86 Cup. Thomas Donohoe, a great drive, holding it all the way through that race, takes out number 1, with Palfrey not too far behind in 2nd. Scott Bartine finishing in 3rd, the Everything Simulated Racing. That's going to be some really good points for him this evening. So we see Alex Court, Ryan Palmer and Oliver Robson, followed by Liam Newen and Ryan Smith. Brian East there in 9th, and Josh Harris in the ADHD entry in 10th. So that's your top 10 for race 2 this evening. Followed by Adrian Gresh, Fitzroy Beaumont, Collins and Saunders in 13th and 14th. Mitch Curry for MC Motorsport finds himself all the way back in 15th tonight. Absolutely not a great night of racing for him, unfortunately. Nankervis in the Valve Esport entry, look, had a good crack at it, but unfortunately, just a couple of issues throughout. Craig Edwards just couldn't find a way through and ended up with, unfortunately, just a couple of incidents that put him further and further back over and over. And then Bowman, Bunker and Ewing rounding out the 12 with a whole lot of incidents to their name, unfortunately. But not as bad as Long, Hyde and Depp, who had just a shocker of a second race there. Again, very fortunate they've got their drop rounds, because I suspect that these guys will be very keen to use this one as the drop round. It's been a rough night, but all's well that ends well. All our drivers in one piece, and that's the main thing after all. So a fantastic night of racing. That is the last checkered flag tonight for round 2 of the MC Motorsport Toyota 86 Cup here at Lime Rock Park. Again, an incredible display of skill and strategy and just determination from all of the drivers today, right through the field. We've seen a really wide spread of points across the 2 races, and from the green flag to the finish line, we were treated to some of the most thrilling wheel-to-wheel action you could ask for. That second race won by Thomas Donahoe, a masterful drive there, just holding off the competition and introducing us to him as a competitor and a contender for this championship. So huge congrats to them and the team for the performance. And then throughout the rest of the field, plenty of battles all the way down the grid that kept us on the edge of the seats right to the very end. Tell you what, these Toyota 86s, again and again, they've just proved why they're the perfect machines for this kind of racing. With equal machinery and talented drivers, you bring them to a legendary track like Lime Rock Park and you really get a spectacle that showcases what this is all about. So thank you to everybody who's tuned in today for our broadcast. This one's been brought to you by Simple Racing Broadcasts, live and exclusive here on the MC Motorsport channel. We've still got plenty more racing to come this season. We've got our next round of Super Formula Lights on Monday night, so do make sure you join us for that. And of course, we'll be back for round 3 of the Toyota 86 Cup here with MC Motorsport. So make sure you do join us next time for more heart-pounding action, and to make sure you don't miss out, do make sure you subscribe to the channel just down below. But until then, from all of us here at Lime Rock Park, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you at the next round. Drive safe, race hard, and keep the passion for motorsport alive. Goodbye for now.
You see here, kid, you gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after or what came before. You just gotta bend your knees, take a deep breath, and jump. And you might think, what if I fall? Well, what if you don't?